had some big coaching decisions to make along the way, and obviously you had one earlier this year with the decision to insert DJ into the starting lineup, and obviously your team, those two guys have played better, the team's played better since that happened. What kind of went into that decision, and was it a difficult one, and how did the guys, obviously they took it well, but what all went into that decision to change?
There's a lot of thought that goes into, changes in your lineup that, change, but at the end of the day, it was really a positive, and I thought it really, most importantly, helped Tyson in terms of breaking out of his, offensive slump at that point, and he's playing, as good as he's ever played. He was key for us down the stretch of that Florida game. In fact, we don't win the game without him in there, giving us the lead, and then getting two more drives to the basket. It hasn't changed his minutes at all, and I think it's been real positive. And DJ's done a great job, especially at the defensive end of the floor, which is where he's such a force. His ability to contest shots and his length. And, against Oklahoma, he had 8 defensive rebounds, which I was incredibly excited about. That was a career high for him. And so, it's really helped, I think, both players, and therefore helped our team.
A lot of different personnel on Tennessee from a year ago. What have you seen from them from a matchup perspective?
Yeah, they're a very tough, difficult matchup, and you look at them, they're in the top 20 in, defensive efficiency. They block a ton of shots. Pons is incredible how many block shots he has. He's the best two-footed jumper, quick jumper in the conference. I mean, I was watching film of him last night. He's literally got his head, and he didn't duck the rim. At 6'5", whatever he is. I mean, he's just explosive and really quick leaper. Fulkerson's playing great. I mean, I love Fulkerson. Just love how hard he plays, how tough he is. They've got some really good young kids that are talented as can be. The Jones kid out of South Carolina. What's amazing, they have so many left-handers. I think they have 7 left-handers. I've never heard of such a thing. But they're very athletic. They're long. Bowden is a guy that's really, really a heck of a player. We've always had, a tough time with him. He's always played well. I think he's a really, really good player. He hasn't shot it to his capability, and we don't want him to break out of his slump tomorrow. Now, he's had flashes like against Kansas in the second half last week. He was really good. And they were right there. They could have beat Kansas. I mean, that Kansas game came down to the wire. That was a very close, hard-fought game in on Fieldhouse where they had a chance to win. They dominated the previous game against Ole Miss. Their defense was just incredible in that game. And, the Texas A&M game, they had to lead with 3 minutes to go. And, A&M did a great job in the offensive glass. And I know that, Coach Barnes, who's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, Rick Barnes is one of the best coaches in our conference, and he will be in the Hall of Fame, and should be. I mean, he is a great coach. 700 wins. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. They're very, very well coached, and they've tweaked their offense a little bit, but to be a little different than it's been in the past. They run a lot of the same stuff. I really like the kid from Uruguay that's come over, Vescovi. He's a good player. He's skilled. He just got inserted in the starting lineup, 3.5 weeks ago, and you see how much better he's improved just during that time. They lost Turner, which was a big blow to him because he was their point guard. And, Vescovi and Jones are really playing that position for him. And, they have good, strength up the bench too. The kid Johnson's a good player, plays incredibly hard. There's another kid, Gaines, who comes in, who I'm really impressed with too, how hard he plays. So they've got a number of guys. They're going to be a very, very tough team for us tomorrow.
We'll go to Logan, front right.
You've fallen behind the last couple of games, and your teams had to fight back and been able to do that. But what's led to some of those slow starts, and how can you kind of combat that this week?
Boy, that'd be a good thing for me to know. Because it's tough, to get down. I mean, we've done that in, at LSU, at Oklahoma, at Florida, and we'd like to avoid that here and do better, getting off to good starts. I think everything starts with our defense. I thought that we really got hurt in transition D, in particular in this last game against Florida, and they came out firing and really shot the ball well. You know, they were 8 for 14 from 3 in the first half and 0 for 7 in the second half, and a couple of those 7 that they missed were good looks. Just credit our team for hanging tough and continuing to believe in themselves and not giving in. And so I'm proud of them for that. In each of those cases, we had the lead 5 minutes ago in Baton Rouge by 9. We had a chance to win the game at Oklahoma, and we were able to hold on and win the one down in this last game. So, proud of our guys for their toughness when they do fall behind. We just like to avoid that, as you point out.
Go ahead, Joe.
You guys playing maybe as well as you have all year, 4 straight SEC wins and things, and you look around with Nick played well at Florida, Reggie, he's been playing well the last few weeks, of course, and everything kind of seems to be clicking a little bit. Is there anything that in particular kind of stands out to you, like this is an area that we have to get better at right now?
We have to continue to grow at both ends, but I'm really, I think you're right that we're playing our best basketball of the year right now. And I think Nick, really, his plus minus at the Florida game was plus 21. So when he was out of the game for his 9 minutes and 27 seconds, we lost by 14. When he was in, we won by 21. It was, it says a lot about, his effect on that game, all the things he does. But we've got to get better at both ends of the floor and continue to go. We definitely our transition defense. We still got to get better at our ability to get back and get our defense set. That's really, really important for any team. And we've got to do a really good job of taking care of the ball. And we have some turnovers we got to continue to cut down on.
Go ahead, Brian.
You look at last year's 2 games with Tennessee. In both of those games, I felt like Tennessee was probably the more physical team in both of those matchups. This season, with your roster compared to those, you feel like that's where you have an advantage, that you can be the more physical team this year?
Well, we've been very physical as a team as a whole, this entire season because of our personnel. I mean, Robert playing such a huge role as a small forward, and Abdul and Reggie with a lot of experience and size and strength and toughness. So we are a physical team. There's no question Tennessee and South Carolina were the 2 most physical teams here the last few years. Also there's no mystery that they've both had great success in the conference, and especially Tennessee. I mean, they won it one year and finished second and been a high seed, the last couple of years in the tournament. Really, really been a great program.
We'll go back to the second row and Tyler.
We've seen the reasons for improvement with individual performances, whether it be Reggie, Nick, all those guys on the court. But 2.5 weeks ago, you guys are 0-3 in conference, and now you have a winning record in conference. Maybe what are some of the off the court things? Maybe it's in the locker room, at practice, or just the way you see your guys interacting with each other that have that's sort of been different now as opposed to when you guys were struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I think our chemistry is to continue to improve, and we're set in kind of how we're playing. It's a good question for our guys to answer, because they're in the locker room. But I've been excited about how hard we practiced, and we had a good practice yesterday after having the previous day off. And we need to have another good day of preparation today, because there's nothing tomorrow. It's just wake up and play the game because of 1 o'clock starting time.
Just having a guard like Iverson come in, and especially when you signed him, you didn't know Nick was going to be in the situation that he was in. But just having him throughout that stretch, just to add another body, and as well as he's played this year. Yeah,
I think Iverson's really grown as a player, and he's really, really an incredible talent athletically, and I'm really proud of him. He made some big plays for us in the game at Florida. He had a really nice dump off on a drive to Reggie, penetrating to the basket, and he can get to the basket, seems like, whenever he wants. And he's, I think, 4 for 6 from 3 in the conference, so he's shooting the ball well when he's open and taking good shots. And he's still learning the game. I mean, he's still a freshman, and he's really the only true freshman that's playing a significant role for us right now, and he's handled that very well. And that's always difficult, when you're going from last year he was in high school, playing against a bunch of, now you're playing against like grown men that are juniors and seniors, and you have a lot of experience under their belts.
Anything else for Coach before we let him go?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.